Well, I just reviewed my first 11 minutes of this recording and found out I had the wrong sound button turned on and it wasn't turned on. So I'm going to have to redo this whole thing. Uh, let's see, where was I? Good day. Today is August 7th, 2018. Last video I did was on October 2nd, 2017. It was the day after, or the next morning of after the Las Vegas false flag shooting. I had recorded it all without being aware of what had happened because I was out in the woods. And I'm going to try to pick up where I left off. I'm not in my van, as you can tell. Somebody I know was nice enough to let me use this room, and I just noticed when I set up things, the artwork back here, so all of you conspiratorial people that can say I'm part of the Illuminati, the all-seeing eye there. Incidentally, those are the 12 signs of the zodiac too. Anyway, the video I'm going to do today, or do again, is on the 1948 Tucker. And I picked this subject because it's seemingly off topic of what I usually do, and yet it's really not, because I'm going to give you an additional side of the story that very few people are aware of, and I'm the only one that really gone into detail on this. I originally wrote an article on it back in the early 90s about the Tucker, and the reason it was really attacked by the government and the bankers and the SEC and the big three auto companies, corporations at that time. As you may be aware of, the automobiles were in a big demand after the war, and the big three took longer to get their act together and start producing automobiles. The big three, the first 3-4 years after the war, they just basically picked up where they had left off, and the models all looked like the 1940 and 41 models, where Studebaker, Packard, Hudson, Fraser, Nash, and Kaiser were all able to, because they were smaller companies, they were able to bring out brand new models. The Studebaker was quite advanced in styling, and Tucker, incidentally, there's a movie about him. I think it was done in 2004 or something. It's a quite good movie if you want to watch it, and even actually gets into a little bit about what I'm going to discuss in this program about the financing issue of the Tucker. And that's really what got Tucker into trouble. It wasn't his advanced designs, because the proof of that is that all the automobile companies could copy those designs in later models, and they did. They did this. The low-slung cars that only Hudson was in on that. The cars were lower to the ground and gave a better ride and better handling. In addition, Tucker had a rear-engined car. The front windshield came out real easy when in an accident, and the dashboard on the passenger side, there wasn't any dashboard. It was a reinforced area, and you could dive in there and if you saw you were going to get in an accident. And the dashboard was quite small. And the best known thing about the Tucker was the Cyclops eye that tracked when you turned past a certain turning radius. The light would come on in the front, the middle light, and it would show the direction you were going in, and then it would turn off when you straightened the car up. And the engine was quite advanced, and the carburation was advanced, but as far as I know, there was only one or two engines built, because this design of his head was a higher temperature head, and the metals at that time couldn't take it, so the engine broke down, and Tucker had to go to another engine, and he bought a company. He was able to buy the company out. It was a former engine producer that had made helicopter engines. It was a 6-cylinder opposed engine, and it was a little bit like the Corvair or the Subaru engine. It was a 6-cylinder model. It was opposed pistons, and so it was lower, and being put in the back lower, it gave a lower centrifugal force in the turning, which the weight was lower in the car, the heavy weights. And anyway, all these items could be copied, but what the bankers and the big three and the mortgage people and all the big corporations didn't want was Tucker financing his cars himself, because most or a large part of the cost of an automobile, even today, well, more so today, is you're paying for finance costs. Even though you buy the car for cash, you're paying for financing of someone else's car or the next year's model. And the automobile companies and the banks make a lot of money off each car due to this financing. And what Tucker did, he financed each car via the potential buyer. And he did this through selling options, radios, seats, seat covers, and other things as a pre-sale. You didn't get the item until you got the car, and this is where the SEC said, well, you're running a scam here. You're not turning the car over to the buyer when he pays money down for it, which was really ridiculous, because today you can pay money down too. But Tucker passed this savings on to the buyer. So he was going to be able to sell his better car, more advanced car, for less money than all the other manufacturers, because they had finance charges included in their cost. And this is the same with the houses today, and any big ticket items, and even small items. People buy refrigerators and washing machines on financing costs, down payment, a little bit at a time, and they get the item then, up front. But if you don't keep up the payments, that company takes, or the bank takes, your entire item back. They don't take, your seat covers or your seats or your tires off your car and leave you with what you've paid for. They take the whole car. The same with the houses. And so you can see this was the biggest threat. It would change capitalism today. So even though this wasn't really covered too much in the movie, it was touched upon, and if you really study it, you'll find what I'm saying is true. You study the court, some of the details in the court proceedings, it really wasn't about his car being safe or having options or, being advanced. It was all about the financing of the automobile. And it was really quite ludicrous if you really look at it. But that was Tucker's big threat to world financing. Okay, I hope you learned something from that, and if I get enough feedback and likes on this, I'll do other videos with that little slant on them, that you gain something from what I'm saying that others don't really talk about, and so you get a bigger picture of what's behind everything. Okay, thank you, and good day, and check you later.